Hey, got a video response for Backwoods. Talking fuel octane. I don't mind talking shop one bit, and I was thinking it could be refreshing for me to finally talk about something that I know something about. So you talked about the question is in fuel octane and how every once in a while you go ahead and put a tank full of premium fuel and go with the seafoam. You didn't mention if you do those at the same time or not. So the thing about high octane, quote, premium fuel is if your vehicle engine isn't designed to run on it, then it doesn't change, help, or do anything at all. So imagine your engine is built with a certain fuel and timing curve. If you think back in the day when we had the carburetor, fuel supply was nearly fixed depending on throttle input. Well, with computerized fuel injection, the fuel spray and the ignition point is all built to hit at optimal pre-combustion to allow compression and combustion to hit and run through in the most efficient point possible. Therefore, if you were to run an octane level that doesn't match that timing profile, you're not helping anything at all. And as a matter of fact, you may even be pushing your fuel map curve, because what it'll do, you have your oxygen sensors downrange, they'll see that the engine is not running optimally, and it will change the injector profile and the ignition profile to try to clean up the emissions. So you could, in essence, lose power. It's not necessarily helping anything. They used to put some gimmicks in the gasoline, so I don't think it was Chevron, but it was somebody like Chevron, and they were like, Chevron Premium has Techron in it, and so you get that, and then you get the Techron. Well, it turns out they used the Techron additive across the board. It wasn't just in their 91 or 92 or 93 octane. But the biggest misconception is that there is somehow more power in high octane gasoline than there is in low octane gasoline. It could almost be argued there's less, because there's slower volatility. So if you had a bigger piston stroke and you needed that burn to be nice and slow as it went up to maximize that compression and hit, then you'd want that higher octane and push it in. Alcohol as a fuel has a fairly low octane, to the best of my knowledge, and there's just so many myths out of it. And I don't know if it's to make people feel better when they buy, it seems to be like high-end luxury vehicles or like turbocharged vehicles, to think of the higher octane as premium or something to, justify the expense. But in a normal everyday vehicle, it's simply a waste of time. There have been cases though, and I currently own one, and I used to own another one. It was like a secret high octane vehicle. So first one was what the heck kind of car was it? It wasn't the Cruise. It wasn't the Spark. Little turbocharged Chevy, little 1.8 liter turbo. Man, for the life of me, I can't remember. It was a RS edition. Couldn't have been the Spark. I couldn't have owned a Spark. Well, just bear with me. It was a sporty little Chevrolet. Had a 5-speed transmission. I think it was a 5-speed. Might have been a 6. This was a few years ago. We traded it on the Audi. But I found out in school sticker called for 87 octane. If you were able to run 91 or 92 in it, the doggone thing picked up like 4 miles per gallon and an increase in seat of the pants power. It was really incredible. And nothing on that was published. And in a lot of cases, turbos seem to make use of that slower volatility that is premium gasoline. The other one would be this Tundra that we're riding along in this morning. Same engine, same programming, same everything that Toyota puts in the Land Cruiser, only this truck recommends 87 octane and the Land Cruiser recommends 92 octane. And by running that other fuel, and it's not actually worth it to go to 92 in the truck, like the efficiency and power that the truck increases doesn't make up, like some nerds calculated it didn't make up for the extra expensive premium. But that's the ones that'll make a difference. In our little RAV4 that you see in some of the videos, that wouldn't make a hill of beans difference. And you may even notice some fuel fall or some mileage falling off when you're running premium. It'd be minuscule, like almost like within the margin of error. Like if margin of error is always 3%, it wouldn't make a huge difference. Now going with your Seafoam, I've seen the results inside an engine where carbon builds up around valves, around the engine intake, and there are companies, Hyundai and Kia are the bigger ones, but that's another story entirely. But with each oil change, as part of their technical service interval, they wanted the customer to put in a fuel additive with each oil change that's supposed to go through the fuel system and decarbonize the top part of the engine. The thing I didn't understand about how that's supposed to decarbonize the engine is in some of these high pressure fuel injection systems where they move fuel injection, instead of it being in the intake where it was like in the non-compressed zone, they went to almost how a diesel was with the high pressure injectors. They're able to, you've heard of direct injection. When you're directly injecting in a gasoline engine, you're not anywhere near the valves. So those engines are direct injection, and it doesn't make sense that doing that keeps the valves from getting carboned up. So make of that what you will. The Seafoam's an interesting chemical in that it's mostly alcohol in my experience. So it could have a decarbonizing effect, and if it works for you, great. There's some other chemicals out there. I know there's a company called Bar General, BG products. A lot of dealerships use them. They have a chemical called CF5 that if you get a small can of CF5 and put in with each gas tank, that'll keep things cleaned out. But the biggest one would be, say, at the 30,000 mark or the 50,000 mark, if your mechanic offers an induction service where they get in with these chemicals and they actually break down and keep the top part of your valves nice and clean, then that's worth doing. That gets you further than what the Seafoam in the tank does. And then what gets you even further than the Seafoam in the tank and the induction chemicals and everything else is keeping to top tier fuel suppliers, name brand fuel, not the mom and pops. And there's a list. If you Google top tier fuel companies, if you look that up and stick to those people that are just selling clean gasoline, that's the biggest thing. All right, comprehensive gasoline video, 10 minutes. How about that?